All right, boxing fans. I just got done watching the Terrence Crawford versus Avanesian fight. This was a fight where ring rust was the tell for the first few rounds. Crawford's been out of the ring for a minute, I guess over a year. Avanesian, very awkward guy. He came with that same style that what's his name went with Shakur Stevenson. I already forgot dude's name that everybody was hyping up. But he just had that awkward style, that awkward right hand that was landing early on Crawford. Crawford immediately made adjustments, went southpaw. Throughout the fight, as it started to progress, Crawford, just being Crawford, started noticing the openings, started attacking the body more, started kind of changing the rhythm up on his punches, things like that. This made him harder to time. Avanesian did have some success, though, but, it was just how Paulie Malignaggi explained it. It's more of a hustle type, effort driven success more so than it is punches that are really having any effect. Anything really landing plush. Crawford was able to. His defense to me was really good this fight, but I think the only thing that I could maybe talk badly about was the ring rush. You could tell in the first few rounds, he was a little off with his timing, things like that, but that's typically every Terrence Crawford fight. As the rounds go on and the more information he accumulates and downloads on his opponents, he of course charts a path, and we've told you guys so many times before, crafts tools. He's going to notice openings on guys, and you just saw that as the rounds progressed. The last round, especially when he finally found the left uppercut, and he even landed some in succession. I think he landed like 2 or 3 there. Maybe 30 seconds before the knockout, he started to really find a home, plus mixing up his left uppercuts with hard, effective shots to the body. Guys, they're just not used to this type of level of fighter because it's a chess game on top of that, but it's against a guy who not only can outthink you, but he can outpunch you as well. Avanesian, those body shots started to take effect. You could tell how they were affecting him. When you see guys start to play with their trunks and things like that after body shots, you'll see guys like Usyk and Lomachenko do that. That's how you know your body shots are really affecting a guy. Errol Spence fans, I don't know what to tell you. Your dude is susceptible to that same right hook that just pretty much put Avanesian to sleep tonight. We saw Ugas land it. We seen, I forgot old boy's name, that we all saw Spence get his mouthpiece knocked out before. I forgot dude's name. I've not been covering the sport of boxing for a while. That same right hook will definitely do the same effect as Spence. Spence, they've been keeping him away from true power punchers. They've been keeping him away from true threats. They've been putting him in nothing but showcase fights and calculated risk. Danny Garcia himself told you that it was a cherry pick and things like that. People, if you don't know that about the sport of boxing, I don't know what to tell you. A guy like Avanesian, he's a hungry fighter, just like Igis Kavalauskas was. Guy with solid foundation, had an Olympic background. Lost to the same guy in the Olympics that Spence lost to. But regardless, Errol Spence has always been a boardroom fighter. He's a guy that was being crafted in a boardroom. They've given him one-liners. They've given him all this other stuff. He's a fabricated fighter. That's the reason why this guy's been ducking this entire time. When everybody finally started catching up on this subject between Spence and Crawford, I was telling you guys precisely what was going on this entire time. They know that Spence can't win this fight. If Spence wants to do inside fighting, he's a repetitious, unconscious puncher, meaning he throws the same repetitious combinations again, and again. It's just like, you don't need, he's not a conscious guy. He doesn't know how to pick and choose his shots like Terrence Crawford. Again, he's a guy just like Avanesian tonight, a guy who has to hustle for the win. He has to throw 1,000 punches. He has to chop dudes down that way. It's not so much that he knows how to pick and chooses his shots. He just breaks them down due to effort. A lot of guys from the PBC are like that. Sean Porter, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman. Although Keith Thurman has somewhat good punch placement and timing, but still he's a guy that throws at least 700 plus punches a fight. Sean Porter, 700 plus punches a fight. Errol Spence, 700 punch plus is a fight. And they're not really impactful shots. Crawford is a guy who, once again, at any time can end the fight. Errol Spence is not that. You know what I'm saying? Even with Ugas with a busted up eye, It still took him a minute to get him out of the ring, and they had to, the ref had to stop the fight. You know what I'm saying? Mickey Garcia, Terrence Crawford would easily knock out Mickey Garcia. Danny Garcia, I know Terrence Crawford knocks out Danny Garcia, and of course, as we told you before the Sean Porter fight, he was going to knock out Sean Porter. We even bet the round that was going to occur on, and we put our betting slip on this channel when I was covering boxing more frequently, but we had that bet on the 10th round, you know what I'm saying? But Errol Spence, like I said, it's always been an anticlimactic fight that's never going to live up to the hype. Errol Spence is going to get knocked out around the same round as Avanesian got knocked out tonight. He just does not have good defense. His skills and everything are overrated. People like him just because it was the cool fad to like Errol Spence. You guys wanted to believe that the little suburb boy was some fake dude from the streets. He just got in a car wreck tonight in his bulletproof car. This guy's a clown. He's a rancher one minute, he's a suburb boy the next. You know what I'm saying? You're a rapper groupie another minute, you're over here with your bulletproof ride, getting in car wrecks again. People, they think this is the second one. It's actually like his fourth. He's been in a few car wrecks, But PBC, they've always just crafted these little fake little fighters, and people tend to think that they're good. Terrence Crawford is showing you, again, he takes hard fights. These type of fights, fighting these types of opponents are actually more hard than fighting Danny Garcia, a guy who couldn't knock out Red Cash, you know what I'm saying? A guy who himself proclaims he has mental illness, a guy who turned down Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao fights, and it was due to his father saying that they don't want to mess with his confidence. These guys have been brought up on showcase fights, fights where basically they're in there just to win. There's no true threat. They put them in with guys, that they know are at the end of their career just looking for a check and things like that. Or they put them in fights where, it's very specialized matchmaking, you know what I'm saying? But those PBC guys, they tell you who they are every time. Whenever a true threat comes up, they don't want to fight these dudes. Again, you'll hear Keith Thurman only say Crawford's name when he wants attention, but these dudes, they're not real. They're scavengers. They're not apex predators like Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is getting up there in age. You can see a slight difference in his younger years as opposed to where he is at now, especially coming off a year layoff. But, that was a good, safe approach by Crawford. He immediately made adjustments. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And, again, his little adaptation and everything else, it was still on point. It's a little behind, but it's not behind by much. I think if he gets back in the ring pretty soon, he'll be in tip-top form. He'll be back to where his optimum basically is. But again, typical Terrence Crawford finds the Trojan horse, crafts punches that he knows are going to end the fight, finds openings that his opponents typically don't know they're even open at. And you'll see him land punches that once again just catch people off guard. And, even if he doesn't knock him out at first, it's basically the beginning of the end when he does land these types of punches. And with Errol Spence, it's going to be no different. This guy's going to get knocked out. I told you guys before I stopped talking about boxing, I'd be surprised if Spence gets past the 6th round. He's a guy, again, he's highly open. He always gets countered off of his lame jab, which is just more of a distraction than a pinpoint accurate tool. Again, he has to beat you off of volume. Terrence Crawford, again, is a one-shot, one-kill guy. He's a guy who makes the most out of his punches. Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, those types of guys, it looks cool while they're throwing all these punches, but it's always a lot of these impactful punches. But with Terrence Crawford, he lands significant, impactful punches, and then he's also figuring you out. He's figuring out your timing. He's figuring out where your openings are, and like I said, he crafts a Trojan horse right there mid-fight, and he eventually crafts a punch that is going to be the beginning of the end if it does not end you. Errol Spence's chin is weak. It's always been weak. That's why they kept him away from true power punchers. You know what I'm saying? This is why they've always selectively moved him the way they moved him. Again, PBC, they know Spence isn't ready. These dudes, even with a one-sided deal in favor for Errol Spence, still couldn't make the fight. We told you the money's funny. We still haven't missed a beat on this. Again, everyone pretty much knows it by now. When I did go on my hiatus, I noticed a lot of people were covering, and they were just basically telling you stuff we've been telling you, these past years. So there was no reason for me to come out and, again, continue to beat a dead horse, as I always tell you guys. But a pretty good fight tonight, a very solid opponent, top 10 opponent, and multiple sanctioning bodies, although that doesn't mean much in today's sport of boxing. But Terrence Crawford, he definitely, as Antonio Tarver said, you're going to start to see the cream rise to the top, and that's exactly what happened. It started off with a few body punches in the early rounds, some hard, effective shots. What's his name did get a valiant participation. You got to give him some credit. But it is dangerous when a guy is in Crawford's position and they fight hungry guys like that, like Avanesian, even Mean Machine and guys like that. Fighting guys like Sean Porter, fighting guys like Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and even Errol Spence. These are checked out dudes who got satin sheets before they were even handed belts. They didn't even have to earn their belts. They, beating a guy coming off a loss and moving down 2 weight classes like Kell Brook and Errol Spence, to me, that's called scavenging. That's not really putting yourself at real risk. Crawford's always been a guy who is from the mud, from nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Those types of guys, they have more to prove, and they work harder, and they know what is more valuable in life than a guy like Spence. Again, came from the suburbs. Both parents had some pretty good money. Dad owned a business. Dude was a suburb kid, and now you're in that stage where a lot of suburb kids start mixing in with the wrong crowd. Errol Spence, to me, is just a big teenager, in my opinion. You see his business being blasted here all the time. We just not been speaking about it. This dude's trying to play dumb, acting like he's a boss, and you come to find out this dude wasn't even at the negotiation table, and he's making up these excuses. And we all know what time it is, and how many times do I need to beat the dead horse? But it was a very good fight tonight by Terrence Crawford. A good little comeback fight. Again, guy who's ranked like 4 or 5 in WBC and other sanctioning bodies. It's a solid win, guys. It's definitely for a win coming off of your layoff, when dudes have been ducking you, when, you know what I'm saying, Crawford's next, and here we are, taking forever just to make a fight. Crawford's over here getting dudes in a position where they can actually earn some real money, not stipend money. You know what I'm saying, how PBC does. But again, guys, we've been telling you this stuff for years, and how many times can I beat a dead horse? That fight is over. Again, at this point in time, they're probably still trying to entice Canelo to fight Spence so they can cash him out that way. The Keith Thurman fight's not going to do nothing either. Plus, those dudes, they're going to get deals similar to how Terrence Crawford and the Spence negotiations went. There's not going to be no real guaranteed money and things like that. It's now time for the charades to end and get this out of the way. Maybe Spence is just going to duck and move up at this point. We'll see what they plan to do. Maybe Crawford can steal a Thurman fight, because maybe Thurman wants a payday now, just like Sean Porter, and he knows he's going to get paid more money, not messing around with Al Heyman and PBC. This is what Broner's found out. This is what plenty of fighters from PBC have found out. You know what I'm saying? Al Heyman, we told you, runs a Ponzi scheme. He controls all the money. He controls every aspect of it. These guys are actually in the true slave contracts with Al Heyman. It's not like other companies like Top Rank and everything like that. And we've been telling you guys this the entire time. That's an easy win for Crawford, and we told you. I think I told you during the Sean Porter fight, I think the Sean Porter fight actually presents a bigger challenge than Errol Spence. Errol Spence, again, this is a repetitious guy. Throws the same exact combinations all the time. You know what I'm saying? Jab, 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 straight left. Jab, 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 right hook, left hook. He does some pretty basic stuff, and Crawford will time him easily early on. Plus, I know Spence doesn't have a chin, and that same right hook, again, that you saw put what's-his-name to sleep, especially if he's facing in that same setup with the left uppercut, and then here comes that sneaky right hook behind that. Was it Larty that caught Spence with that right hook? Had him over here spitting out his mouthpiece, and I can't remember the dude's name, but you guys know who and what I'm talking about. But Spence has always been susceptible to that right hook. it's going to be an easy fight for Terrence Crawford. It's an anticlimactic fight. We've been telling you guys this for years. There's no reason for me to come out with 50 videos telling you the same thing over and over again. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.